There's a story going around, and I did post it, about the violation, the Supreme Court potentially saying that Trump has violated Preservation Acts and that sort of stuff when it came to the demolition and the destruction at the White House. Where it is true that the U.S. Supreme Court has not made that decision. Where it may be is that people might be getting ahead of ourselves as groups are suing on specifically that topic, that Donald Trump is doing massive modifications to federal and historic buildings in violation of historical preservation acts, possibly destroying historical icons inside of those buildings. So let's just let the news say it.
Historic preservationists are trying to stop President Trump from making changes to the Eisenhower Executive Office building. The president has floated the idea of painting the structure white, but the D.C. Preservation League and the Cultural Heritage Partners have filed a lawsuit to block any alterations without a formal review. The group argues that unapproved changes could cause irreversible damage to the building, which dates back to 1888. Preservationists say that they are also concerned about after recent changes to other parts of the White House complex. The EEOB sits on the White House grounds.
Defendants are violating the National Historic Preservation Act, NHPA, of 1966 by not a. Identifying and evaluating the historic property, b. Assessing the project's effects on that property, and c. Consulting with the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, ACHP, and the D.C. State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, to mitigate any adverse effects before the project proceeds. 5. Defendants are bypassing legally required oversight by the Commission of Fine Arts, CFA, which reviews and advises on the design and aesthetics of the exterior modifications to the White House and its grounds. 6. Defendants are unilaterally decoupling the demolition of the east wing of the White House from the construction approval process to expedite the project, effectively bypassing the historic preservation and planning reviews required under federal law for a project of this magnitude on a protected national landmark. 7. Plaintiffs therefore seek a TRO. A. Temporarily restraining and enjoining defendants and any third parties from further destroying any portion of the White House until 1. Demolition and construction plans can be reviewed by NCPC, ACHP, SHPO, and CFA. 2. The public review process is completed by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, NTHP. B. Requiring defendants to show cause why this court should not issue a preliminary injunction extending such temporary relief pending an adjudication on the merits. And c. Providing for other equitable relief. 8. Pursuant to federal and local civil rule, plaintiffs will provide actual notice to defendants as of making this application, and has provided copies of all pleadings and papers filed in this action to date. A certificate of counsel pursuant to local civil rule accompanies this motion. 9. A memorandum in support of TRO will be subsequently filed. Wherefore, plaintiffs respectfully request that this court grant this motion by entering the proposed TRO.
So historians are pissed. Why? Because the President of the United States just decided to tear down huge portions of the White House and is not following the basic procedures it takes to preserve the history of each of those locations. That he is altering the White House in massive ways without doing things to preserve our nation's history, which is what that building is, and the other buildings throughout the entire goddamn Capitol, that you are supposed to preserve our history. So as this goes forward, we need to know what history Trump destroyed when he decided to tear down the White House. Thank you.